Hello everyone, my name is Travis Knapp and I'm going to be going over our trip from Charlie Yankee Sierra to Romeo Alpha Papa. So for this trip we're going from Cheyenne, Wyoming to Rapid City, South Dakota, Cheyenne being our home airport and Rapid City being our destination. We're going to be doing a VFR night cross country. Some issues with this flight is there's some forecasted isolated thunderstorms in Rapid City that we're concerned about. Purpose of this trip is me and a friend are going on a summer vacation to Mount Rushmore, and we're going to be taking a 172 Sierra model with a G1000. And this aircraft is from the flight school I trained at, and so I've got quite a few hours, over 100 in this type of aircraft. All right, so here's our route overview. There's no reason we can't go direct. It's 190 nautical miles straight line, which is not a concern for our fuel capacity on a 172. Some concerns I have is we're at a high altitude. So you can see that sector chart, some of those sector altitudes is upwards of 6,000 feet. So recommending here that we're flying at least 7,500, but more realistically, probably picking a higher altitude, but staying out of oxygen required altitudes. So 7.5 or 9.5 would probably be a good altitude, depending on exactly what the cloud bases are doing at the time we leave. All right. Also, not only is it a high altitude, but it's the summer. It is the evening, but it's still going to be hot, and that's going to increase our density altitude, so our aircraft will not be performing super well like it would at sea level. And then here's just the TAF at the time we're going to leave. You can see that there's thunderstorms or showers in the vicinity. The TAF prior to that, we'll talk about the weather here in a second, had thunderstorms in the vicinity. And we already went over the altitudes. So going into my paid checklist here, some things I'm going to do for pre-flight actions is I'm going to think about myself as the pilot, specifically illness, medication, stress, alcohol, fatigue, and emotions. That's my I am safe checklist. So if I've been sick or been taking medications, make sure that I've tested out flying before I go on this trip based on whatever sickness. And then if I'm on medications, just checking the databases, making sure that I'm allowed to be on that medication and still fly. Stress, just a self-examination of, hey, am I stressed out and am I going to be able to effectively operate this aircraft? Alcohol, 0.04% or 8 hours, bottle to throttle. We all know those rules, but also if I've been drinking and I'm not feeling well, I'm still under the effects of alcohol, I would not fly in that regard either. Realistically, I'm not drinking the day before I fly. Fatigue, this is a night flight, so fatigue is really important. Just make sure I get my sleep the night prior, at least 8 hours. And then eating and emotions, making sure I eat before I go on this flight, so I'm not having that distraction. All right, so talking about the aircraft, so there's our 172 Sierra model that's going to take us up to South Dakota. First thing I'm going to do with this aircraft, just make sure it's legal. It's not my aircraft, so I'm going to walk through my Aero PC checklist. So airworthiness certificate, registration. Won't need a radio operator's license for this trip. Make sure I got the owner's manual, the current weight and balance, and then all placards and compass cards are where they need to be. Also, if there's any supplements, just make sure that those supplements are also in the aircraft. This is a good thing I'm flying this aircraft. It's a familiar aircraft. I did all my training in this, so I don't think there's going to be any issues as far as me operating the aircraft. The one concern I do have for this aircraft is recently serviced with an oil change. The concern that problems surface after first maintenance. So just double checking the oil and then keeping an eye on my engine instruments, especially right at climb out and whenever I cruise out for the first time. All right, pre-flight actions, talking about the environment. So it is going to be night, and that comes with its own unique considerations. The airplane's going to fly the same, but it will affect me differently as I'm a human being, and the night causes my visual perception of the world to change. Poor weather at the destination. I alluded to this, but here's the TAF for our destination. Highlighted in yellow there is the time, is the TAF that we're supposed to be departing and landing there in South Dakota. Showers in the vicinity, and then some scattered clouds at 3,500 AGL. And then you can see the TAF just before that had some thunderstorms forecasted. I was over 3 hours prior to when we're leaving, so I'm not extremely concerned about it. But I am concerned about the showers, and I'm going to make sure I'm instrument current just in case I have to get a pop-up clearance to safely complete this flight. And then also, this is an unfamiliar airport. I haven't been here, haven't been anywhere in the entire state actually, but as a pilot with over 300 hours, I think I'm going to be able to effectively navigate this situation and get us up there. All right, some external pressures. It's just a long-awaited summer trip to Mount Rushmore. Also, my friend is coming, and having another person always changes the dynamics of a flight, especially if they're not a pilot. And then work schedule prohibiting departure at an earlier time. It's an external pressure that's just going to restrict our decision making of when we leave. So we can't leave at the most opportune time because we're pretty boxed in between when you get off work and just not leaving at an unreasonably late hour. All right, so some threat and air management. I'm going to end with this. So it's just going to be identifying these threats that I discussed and then just ways to manage them. So making sure I have an alternate airport just in case I do have to divert, specifically if there is still thunderstorms in the area. And then managing expectations with my passenger who's coming with me, letting him know what an unsafe condition might look like and what we would do in that instance, and that the day might end with us not being going to see Mount Rushmore the next day. Sleep. Just night flying in general can be dangerous due to fatigue and then change perception of the environment. So make sure I have plenty of sleep, over 8 hours, and then refresh on some of my night considerations like the black hole effect, my night vision, and then scanning techniques, things like that. PHAC is a great place to go and refresh on some of that knowledge. All right, and then lastly, my biggest concern is the weather. So just make sure I do a good in-depth weather analysis using everything that's available to me, looking at SIGMETs, AirMets, everything in the GFA tool, and then calling a weather briefer and getting a standard briefing and letting him give me his ideas on if this is going to be a safe flight or not with those thunderstorms in the area. So these are the things I'm going to consider going on this flight, and hopefully the weather will be as such that we can make it and not have any large issues. So appreciate you guys listening to my video. Looking forward to watching y'all's videos and the discussion to follow.